Okie dokie, here on Daybreak, it is going to be game 1 in this best-of-9 series. We have the red Protoss down in the bottom left. It is FXO.Choya, their coach and really good player. Up here in the top right is going to be aTnType leading things off for aTnType. He's the blue Zerg up in the top right.
That's right, so a PvZ to start things off. And of course, our normal daily reminders to everyone out there. We do, in fact, have a contest giveaway right now because our friends over at TT Esports provided us a mouse and a mouse pad to give away to you. So if you want to enter into that, please do head over to tinyurl.com/IPLTTEsports3. That is the number 3. So again, tinyurl.com/IPLTTEsports3. In addition, IPL 5 is actually getting pretty close now. We're only about a month and a half away, which is kind of cool to think about. I'm really looking forward to getting back out to the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas. We'll be there from November 29th through December 2nd. And if you want to find out more information about the event, pick up tickets, find discounted hotel room rates, then head over to IGN.com/IPL5.
Yeah, and we will be continually rolling out more information about who will be competing, who will be casting and things like that. Obviously, we're working on some new technology as well, perhaps some cool things to help you interact with the streams as we go live at IPL 5, but you know, a lot of that stuff's still in the works, so we don't want to announce anything until it's totally ready to unveil. We also have, just in line with IPL 5, if you didn't know, after IPTL, or actually before IPTL concludes, we're going to be doing the WCS North America and the rest of the world and European brackets to see who will be joining that World All-Stars team for the GSL World Championship. Those games will be broadcast here on this stream, so stick around a couple of weeks from now and you'll be able to see all those games.
That's right. We decided to, you know, we were wondering when to try and schedule those games in and broadcast them to you, but the schedule will be available, if it isn't already, very soon on IGN.com/IPL. Just click on StarCraft 2 up at the top, and we'll be running those games concurrently with the playoffs from IPTL, so we'll have a lot of stacked action coming up. Next week specifically, we actually have Liquid Sea going up against our 9-time reigning champion of Fight Club, which is TSL Hyun. So, yeah, that's just insane. Yeah,
TSL Hyun, he's made a couple of appearances here in IPTL and has actually been taken out by the likes of Creator and Life, I believe, so far, but Creator has already played in Fight Club and didn't actually do so hot. And Life, we just try to avoid those ZVZ best of 9s because they're kind of volatile, and
we may have to though, because Life ZVZ is freaking awesome. Yeah. And you guys caught a glimpse of how good it is if you watched yesterday's matches against TSL, where he knocked off 3 Zerg players in a row. Yeah. And we may just have to bring him in eventually. Yeah, Life could very well do a long stint. We have actually talked to him a little bit about Fight Club in the past, but obviously with Code S on the brain, he wants to be able to focus on that. And DarKFoRcE is going to take this 3rd base on Daybreak pretty quick, not as quick as you sometimes seem, like 3.5 minutes. You'll actually see every once in a while. This one was more close to 4.5. Yeah, it looks like worried about getting those queens out there a bit earlier on, and is just a few seconds behind. But again, I mean, that's planned. I mean, that's not necessarily, that wasn't an error or anything like that. Just his build of choice. So as we see here, Choya walling off up in the front pretty efficiently so far. He's got his double gas underway, and nothing looks too weird. The question is going to be, does he use his first 100 gas for +1 weapons, or does he save up and decide to go for warp gate, etc. here in just a bit?
Choya also has the option of Stargate play open to him against Zerg opponents. It can be quite nice to pick off Overlords and things like that, as well as if he can sneak them into the drone line. He'll be able to pick up a lot of drones, as DarKFoRcE really hasn't gathered any gas at all. He would have to actually still get that Evo chamber up to be able to deal against that as well. So if Choya stays on top of his scouting, he can figure out the best route to go. Now that the Cybernetic score is done, we do see him drop a Twilight Council to start things off. All right, so Twilight Council opening here, and interesting time to put that down. You know, especially without +1 weapons coming up, because usually you'd have +1 starting now, and you would go into 2 or 3 or 2 more gateways or so before you put down the Twilight Council if you're going for a big blink build. So, you know, every once in a while that DT sense is tingling, and we'll see if DarKFoRcE is going to recognize that that's a possibility. Yeah, and as we get closer to 250 gas, right as the Twilight Council finishes, it is looking more and more likely, and immediately sends that probe over to build the lovely Dark Shrine. So Choya starting things off quickly here with some cloaked aggression. We'll see if DarKFoRcE is going to be able to keep up with that. He still has very minimal gas and has not started lair tech. No Evo chamber number on the field yet or anything. So it is possible, but he does have quite a lot of lings, DarKFoRcE does, so he's going to be able to crash into the front wall here soon and take a look around.
Yeah, I mean, he's hunting down pylons and such and early aggression units very, very early. This is kind of clever by him. I mean, he does have that layer tech coming up, and there's Roach Warren on the way finally, but, you know, he wants to make sure that he's going to be able to shut down any potential aggression right at the very beginning, make sure that it can't find any footing. I mean, because once the Warpins have started, that's when it gets very difficult for Zerg players to be able to hold things off if it's a strong 2-base attack, but if they can stop that progress a little bit earlier, much easier to react to any subsequent units.
Yeah, unfortunately for DarKFoRcE, he is missing that probe down in the very bottom right corner, dropping a new pylon, and instead runs into a Zealot here at the Xel'Naga Tower. He is actually going to run in with everything and make sure that he takes that out. There he goes. Actually didn't need all those units, didn't have to reveal them either, so that's nice. The Dark Shrine is actually going to be complete here in just a few moments, and there it is. 2 more gateways being added on, 3 DTs warping in from the bottom there very quickly, and DarKFoRcE does have a ling there, but I don't think he's going to be paying attention to it when you know, there's nothing on the mini-map to indicate that these guys are here. They walk past another ling there, and if DarKFoRcE is looking anywhere else on the map, this could do quite a lot of damage at the
no
third.
Spore crawlers at all. The Evolution Chamber is up, and I'm sure we'll start to see some of those soon. In fact, we do have an Overseer on the way, but before that's anything's going to be able to react there in time, this hatchery is going to be just annihilated. The DPS on Dark Templar are very high, 45 damage per swipe, and goodbye hatchery.
Yeah, 3 DTs just murdering down that hatch. There is an Overseer above the DTs at this point. DarKFoRcE looks like he does not want to commit to try and kill off these 3 DTs at the moment, though. He's just going to back up toward the natural and make sure it doesn't get out of hand back there. But there is a Dark Templar already into the main as well. He does have 3 kills to his name, and he can just one-shot these drones until these roaches show up to be able to take him out. I think he had 6 kills, maybe even a 7th. If he gets that queen, that's going to be ridiculously good for Choya. No.
Oh, he misses it. The roaches actually shot the queen a few times there. They almost killed it, so I was a little bit worried there for a second, but looks like DarKFoRcE eventually does get a grasp of everything. This is actually an underrated use of DTs as well, is that they can kill larvae very, very quickly, 1 swipe apiece, and that's really useful at limiting your opponent's production.
That is very interesting. DarKFoRcE is actually going to send his forces back down there to try and deal with those 3 DTs, but he knows they're on the map now. He knows he's going to have to deal with it somehow. Infestation Pit coming up now. Fungal is a good way to reveal those DTs, but so far just not a ton of fighting units really among beyond these lings, I'll say.
And the DTs are trying to sneak away, but they're almost being surrounded by the Zerglings. Looks like the Zergling's going to worry a little bit more about that pylon initially. The Overseer taking a bit of a shortcut there, and it looks like he has actually pinned in 2 sets of DTs.
Yep, and it's yeah, it's a clean sweep there for DarKFoRcE, taking out all of those. Resources lost still looking pretty close. Choya did lose a lot of DTs up to this point, but he did take out that hatch, so he delayed DarKFoRcE quite a lot. Blink is coming up now, plus 2 weapons coming along as well, so Choya is still in a pretty good position. He's been massing up this ground force the whole time that he's been trying to do that DT harass.
Looks like DarKFoRcE is going to try and take out a couple of structures here. Oh, but the forces from Choya get there in plenty of time, and you know, the force fields obviously weren't all that great, but, you know, Choya did mention that there were some lag issues before, so may very well be that he had intended to put those out a bit sooner than they actually appeared.
Yep, and because these teams are playing from Europe and Korea, respectively, we actually ask that they play on North American server unless they agree to some other arrangement. That's up to them, but the standard is basically just playing all the games on the North American server, and you know, it is possible that there could be a little bit of lag for either one or both of these players, but Dark Templar number 7 or so actually coming in now for Choya, getting a couple of kills before being discovered and destroyed, but Choya just used that as a little bit of a distraction, a little bit of a delay tactic, so that he could get his real ground force moving.
And Choya, of course, you know, he's going for a strategy that'll require some micro here, especially with the Blink Stalkers that are in there. But, you know, he is largely revolving around just getting a big force out there that can kind of overwhelm his opponent at a moment when he's trying to ramp his production back up. So Choya does blink back here. He's got so many units in place that he was able to cleave through those Zerglings up at the front very, very quickly. DarKFoRcE is going to lose this base here in the middle of the map. He does successfully cancel it, and we'll see if Choya can make his way over and actually finish off this hatchery. No,
oh, wow.
DarKFoRcE He's got a GG.
Wow. Okay, so Choya did have a 17 supply lead there at the end. That ground force was looking pretty scary, and he did just lose some lings for nothing there. That was a good blink bait by Choya, actually getting them to surround fully and then just blinking back into all the zealots and things. But DarKFoRcE did not even want to see how that battle ended up. He knew that it was not going to end well for him after having that third base delayed for so long.
Choya was at a really big advantage. Don't get me wrong. Even without an engagement, there was a really big advantage. But you always kind of like to see players fight it out to the end.
You never know if Choya is going to make some huge mistake, because sometimes you see stuff like that. But in this case, DarKFoRcE not gonna even wait it out. He's gonna head out of there, and up next for alternate will be another Zerg player, Delphi.
Yeah, yes it is. So another PVZ, and it looks like he's going to choose Entomb Valley, which is an interesting choice because Choya is fond of his aggression and 2-base attacks, and this is a very good map for Protoss 2-base aggression. Gives Protoss players flexibility for going up to 3 bases, but we've seen kind of a shift of events where Zerg players have been playing kind of ultra-long, whether it's Muta or whether it's just delay tactics and a bit stronger units, just delaying, and taking over the map. So I would imagine that unless Delphi is going to do something really ridiculous and weird, that he's planning towards a longer macro game. We'll find out, though. We're going to run to a commercial break, and we'll be back for game number 2.